What's up, guys? My name is Redwing, and welcome to our next Star Wars What If scenario. This is one what if that I've always been interested in doing. In Revenge of the Sith, and in a lot of other Star Wars media, Palpatine executes Order 66, resulting in the extermination of 99% of the Jedi Order. But, what if Order 66 failed? Without further ado, let's get into it. Our story begins in the Jedi Council chambers, as the Jedi Council discover that the clone army was created by the Sith. It goes similarly to how it does in the original timeline. However, once Anakin and Obi-Wan end their hologram call, Obi-Wan remembers Anakin's recent report about fives and the inhibitor chips, and reports this to the Council in a separate meeting. Mace Windu then proposes a plan that was controversial, where the Council would secretly order a mass removal of the inhibitor chips, and give the clones the choice to remove them. Only the Council would know of this plan, and the clones would be instructed to keep it quiet as well. Obi-Wan was immediately hesitant, as this meant keeping yet another secret from Anakin, his brother. However, the Council unanimously approves of the plan, and the mass removal begins in secret. Besides months of removing the inhibitor chips in secret, everything else goes according to the original timeline up until Palpatine says the words,
"Execute Order 66.
However, this time, while quite a few clones still execute their Jedi commanders, such as Ki-Adi-Mundi, Depa Billaba, Jaro Tapal, and Luminara Unduli, many of the clones, because they have removed their inhibitor chips, disobey Palpatine's orders, resulting in the failure of the plan of the Sith. On Felucia, Aayla Secura was informed of what had happened as Commander Bly and his clone legion dropped their weapons after receiving the orders. On Utapau, Obi-Wan gets a communication from Cody informing him of Palpatine's betrayal. Obi-Wan orders Cody to buy him some time as he quietly steps away from the battle in order to contact the Jedi Council frequency. On Kashyyyk, Yoda is pulled aside by Commander Gree as he is also informed of what happened. Yoda also informs the commander and the Wookiees that he would be stepping away to contact the Council. On Cato Nemoidia, Plo Koon is also informed of the situation, and Plo lands his ship so as to contact the Council. On the Venator, Rex, this time having removed his inhibitor chip, tells Ahsoka what had happened. Ahsoka instantly feels for Anakin in the Force, but she feels a dark void where Anakin used to be. She fears the worst, as she then orders Rex to change their course for the planet of Naboo, feeling that Padme would be willing to help. Rex obliges her, and they immediately head for Naboo after changing course. On Coruscant, Anakin meets with the 501st to lead the attack on the Jedi Temple. However, the clones resist Anakin's orders, and a fight breaks out where Anakin kills many of his men, including Oppo. Sidious, having sensed that his plans had failed, immediately senses that Anakin was in trouble, and arrives just in time to assist him against the 501st. Sidious tells Anakin that their plan had failed, and that for now they have to immediately leave the planet. Anakin doesn't like the idea, as Padme was still on the planet, but he complies when Palpatine tells him that they can't help Padme if they're dead, and Darth Sidious and Darth Vader ultimately leave Coruscant. The Council, after meeting over hologram, decide to meet on the world of Tython and to instruct the rest of the survivors to meet there as well. They would be leaving Coruscant after informing the Senate of Palpatine's betrayal. Obi-Wan, fearing for Anakin, would return to Coruscant to check up on both him and Padme. When he got there, however, he would learn from a member of the 501st that Anakin had tried to lead them to attack the temple, but that he had escaped with the hooded man. Obi-Wan would look at the security footage, and he would be even more shocked than he was in the original timeline, as he recognized the voice of the man in the hood to be that of Palpatine, and Obi-Wan knew that he had to contact Padme immediately and get her to safety. So, Obi-Wan would go to Padme's apartment, and this time, Padme, having not seen Anakin since before he went to the Jedi Temple that morning, believed Obi-Wan. And, when her water breaks due to the stress of it all, she agreed to go with him to Polis Massa, where she would give birth to Luke and Leia and survive the process. Obi-Wan would contact Yoda informing him of the situation, and Yoda would come as quickly as he could. The council would then meet again in order to discuss the fate of the Skywalker twins. They would again propose to separate the twins, but Padme is vehemently against this idea. However, Obi-Wan sees eye to eye with the council and sees that it could be the only way that the children would be safe, and Padme calms down, but she demands to keep one child to take with her into hiding. The Jedi agree, and Obi-Wan ultimately decides to take Luke and train him in the ways of the Force, while Padme keeps Leia and takes her into hiding. Everyone agrees, and everyone parts ways. Obi-Wan, upon arriving on Tython with Luke, hears the boy cry and instantly tends to him. Obi-Wan then promises the young boy that he would become a great Jedi like his father before him. Sometime later, Luke would be placed in Obi-Wan's quarters on Tython upon his request. Yoda accepted this request himself for 2 reasons. The first reason being that he had just felt Padme's death in the Force, and that this boy was now the key, the only hope to defeating the Sith. And the second reason, and possibly just as important, was that Yoda knew how much Anakin meant to Obi-Wan, and knew that Obi-Wan had been heartbroken by Anakin's fall to the dark side. Yoda knew that Obi-Wan wanted to honor his fallen friend, his fallen brother, by training his son in the ways of the Force, in the way that Anakin should have been trained. So, Obi-Wan and Luke cry together as Obi-Wan tends to Luke in his quarters. Meanwhile, Sidious and Vader would land on the planet Mustafar, and they do not kill the Separatists as Order 66 had failed, and they would have to hide here for the time being. But they order all remaining battle droids to prepare for battle for when the time came to take the galaxy by force. Vader, due to his fear of losing Padme, is conflicted, but Sidious chokes Vader while also hitting him with Force lightning as he puts his apprentice in his place. And they begin Vader's training in the dark side of the Force, as he is then taught how to bleed his Kyber crystal. Padme would ultimately decide to take Leia with 2 Jedi Guardians to hide out in a house on the countryside of Naboo, and Ahsoka and Rex would arrive shortly after Padme and Leia got there, finding them. And Padme tells both Ahsoka and Rex the truth about Anakin's fall. Rex was simply too shocked to speak at this revelation, and Ahsoka began to sob, lamenting that she should have told Yoda about Maul's visions, because she now knew that Maul's visions were ultimately correct. Despite this, Ahsoka and Rex volunteer to help protect, mentor, and raise Leia. Ahsoka even volunteers to train Leia in the ways of the Force herself when the young girl was old enough. Several peaceful months pass by. By this point, everyone from the 501st who went with Ahsoka to Mandalore was on Naboo, with Padme, Leia, Ahsoka, and Rex, with Maul still imprisoned in the Mandalorian sarcophagus. However, one of Padme's protectors was secretly an Inquisitor. The 7th sister would report to Darth Sidious that Padme, Ahsoka, Rex, and Maul were on Naboo. Palpatine, having sensed that Padme needed to be killed in order to keep Anakin in the dark side, immediately leaves for Naboo with all of the Inquisitors and many battle droids to go with him. However, Vader, having trained for weeks under Sidious and having learned everything that Sidious knows through Sidious's teachings and his own research, senses that something is up, and he masks his presence in the Force as he secretly gets on Palpatine's ship. The ship leaves for Naboo with the rest of the fleet, and when it lands, the Jedi Protectors minus Ahsoka would immediately ignite their lightsabers, but one of them, being the 7th sister, would take the Jedi Baylan Skoll by surprise, as he yells for Padme to take her child and run. Padme leaves the house from the back door, taking Leia and a blaster with her, as well as Ahsoka and Rex, as the combined might of Sidious and the 7th sister would be too much for Baylan, and he dies. The fleet of battle droids and Inquisitors attack the 501st troopers, and many of them are ultimately cut down. Sidious, seeing Padme go out the door, runs to her location instantly after Baylan's death, and Padme fires 2 blasts at the former Chancellor, as does Rex, but they are deflected by his lightsaber as Ahsoka then rushes him. She puts up a valiant effort, but Sidious then cuts her down, killing her by stabbing her in the heart. Sidious then yanks Rex and Padme's blasters away with the Force, and uses the Force to choke Rex, then slowly rip Leia from Padme's arms. Padme cries in terror, and Rex struggles to break free before Sidious takes Leia, telling Padme that her child would serve the Sith well, before ultimately breaking Rex's neck and cutting Padme down, killing them both in one fell swoop as Vader, still aboard Sidious's ship, watched in horror. Sidious then finds Maul still aboard the Venator that Ahsoka and Rex had arrived on, and Sidious chokes Maul with the Force as he then stabs him in the heart with his lightsaber, killing him. It was then, as Vader was hiding aboard Sidious's ship, that he knew that Sidious had manipulated him and that Sidious should not be the Sith Master. It was at that moment that Darth Vader, who was still hiding in Palpatine's ship, decided that whenever they returned to Mustafar, he would challenge Sidious in front of all of his allies and take the title of Sith Master for himself. He would kill Sidious for what he had done to his wife, for attempting to take his child, whom he immediately sensed that it was a girl named Leia, and he would make the galaxy suffer for Padme's death. Vader would stay hidden during the entire trip to Mustafar, and when Sidious returned to the Separatist leaders with Leia crying in his arms, he put her down and attempted to use the Force to enslave her mind to him. However, before Sidious could even begin to attempt this, he was suddenly pushed backwards by use of the Force, and Sidious hit the wall so hard that it would have killed him right then and there had he not been as powerful as he was. Sidious looked to see who did it, and his eyes went wide with horror as Vader, having sensed what Sidious was about to do and still using the Force to hold him against the wall, furiously screams at his master to stay away from his daughter. The Separatist leaders are shocked as this is happening, and Sidious, knowing that he had just lost the support of the Separatists, attempts to shock Vader with his Force lightning. But Vader conjures Force lightning of his own and shocks Sidious briefly before releasing him. Both Vader and Sidious ignite their lightsabers, and an epic, ferocious duel begins between the two Sith Lords. It is similar to Anakin's fight with Obi-Wan in the original timeline, except this time, Vader had much more time in the dark side, and he knew not to underestimate Sidious's power. Sidious, at one point, attempts to throw lava at Vader, but Vader, sensing the danger, blocks it with a nearby boulder and jumps over it as Sidious attempted to throw Vader into the lava. Vader, however, acts quicker and sends Sidious backwards before he can do so. Darth Vader, utterly furious at Sidious for what he had done to him and to his wife, uses the Force to run towards Sidious at lightning speed as he tries to get up. However, Vader uses the ability of Force Scream as Sidious does so, and Sidious is knocked back to the ground as Vader, as quick as a flash, plunged his blood-red lightsaber into the back of Sidious's skull. Sidious dies instantly with a horrified look on his face as Darth Vader, the chosen one of the Jedi and now the most powerful Sith Lord who had ever lived, ascended to Dark Lord of the Sith. Vader throws Sidious's body into the lava, then returns to the Separatist leaders and informs them that Palpatine is dead. However, he tells them that Palpatine's death would be kept secret. No one outside of this room is to know of the death of Palpatine, Vader says, before then exclaiming that the Separatists would be reorganized into an empire under his control and that of his daughter Leia. The Separatist leaders, knowing more about politics than Vader did, would help him to rule this empire. Emperor Vader would rule similarly to how Kylo Ren ruled the First Order after the death of Snoke in the sequel trilogy. However, he would rule with more of an iron fist. Vader decreed that Newt Gunray would be executed instantly by Vader for the role he played in the assassination attempts on Padme. Gunray would instantly beg for mercy, saying that Sidious promised him prosperity. However, Vader retorts by saying that Sidious made that promise, while Vader, on the other hand, had promised him no such thing. And Gunray is cut down without further argument. None of the Separatist leaders argue with this, and they begin to prepare all battle droids for war with the Republic. The Clone Wars were over, but a new war would begin. This was the beginning of the Galactic Civil War, with the newly formed Empire with battle droids and actual citizens fitted as stormtroopers against the Republic. The Republic had betrayed Vader. They had betrayed his family, and for this, the Republic would crumble under Vader's fist before the entire galaxy would bow before him. Folks, that is part 1 of our story today. Part 2 will come next Tuesday, and then the week after that, as my 50 subscriber special, I will do both parts mashed together in one big video for all of you to enjoy. Huge thank you to my girlfriend's childhood friend, who is also a good friend of mine, who we will call the Storykeeper. He was a very big help in writing our story today, specifically with as to how Order 66 fails. So huge thanks to him for that. Again, let me know what other what-if ideas you have in the comments below. I do have a movie poster that I'm currently working on for my original content as well. So I'll be posting that on February 19th as a community post after that is finished. And then you, the people, shall decide whether I should bring it to life or not. Huge thanks to all of you, actually, because as of the time that I am recording this, I now have more than 50, almost 60 subscribers. I really do enjoy doing this for you guys. I write stories for a hobby, and so getting to share my what-if stories, as well as possibly my original content with the world, is kind of a dream of mine. And you all help with that. So again, huge thanks to all of you, as we're now officially on the road to 100 subscribers. Do subscribe if you're new. Follow my Instagram at Star Wars Red Wing. It really does help me out. Thanks for watching. May the Force be with you, and I'll see y'all later.